everyone. Welcome to my first ever sketchbook tour. I have been away from YouTube for a bit, but I'm excited to be back and sharing more art related things because, as you probably know, or maybe you don't, most everything I do is art related now. I still swatch every now and then, but I run 25 Sweetpeas by Sarah, where I sell paper goods, beach guides, stickers, a whole bunch of fun things. And so most of my time is spent working on that. And in the past year, I've also started keeping a sketchbook. Okay, so let's just get started. I will warn you that the lighting seems to be going in and out, but I'm in front of a window, so hopefully it stays kind of consistent. So without further ado, let's look at the sketchbook. First off, this was my first time using this shape. I normally use a square shape like this one, which is a sketchbook from last year, which I can do a tour on some other time. But it was like my first real attempt at keeping a sketchbook. But the beginning of the year, I started this one. It is a Talent Art Creation sketchbook. The paper is, I forget what the thickness is. It's not bad. It holds some amount of water, not a ton of water, but I can use a fountain pen and I can use Neocolors. I can use pencils. So it's just good, and it's not super expensive, which I feel like takes the pressure off of making perfect art, which, I mean, you don't want to feel like you need to be perfect in a sketchbook. So let's go. First off, I've got a really cute sticker on it, as you can see. This is by Fun Guy Forest. I will show you his little user picture here so you guys can go check him out. I don't believe he sells any of his stickers online yet, but if you're local to the Jacksonville area, sometimes he does pop-ups at different little markets in the area, so that's really fun. These are manatees. I love manatees. So let's just start in. I started this January 6th and finished it May 22nd. I think the only reason that I finished it this quickly is I've been doing a 100-day challenge, so I've been a bit more consistent than years past. Let's go. So I feel like starting a fresh sketchbook is always a little daunting. Definitely, I was starting a new shape, a new size, even though it's measurement wise the same as the square one that I was using last year. Somehow it just felt smaller, which is weird because, like I said, I don't really think it was actually that much smaller. So I just started out a simple way. I started out by doing swatches, and as you can see, I put in a white piece of paper because I started this, January 6th, which was right after Christmas. I got some new supplies, so it was let's just get into the sketchbook, see how these pieces perform. I added some new Holbein pencils to my collection, so I used some mixed media paper and added white in so I could see it on both colors. And it made the pages really thick. I also did that with, I think these are Neocolors. I didn't label that, which wasn't my best move in the world. Next up, we have a first proper sketch page in the sketchbook, which we had been to the beach recently, and I found some seashells at the beach, obviously, and I decided to do something a little different. I always doodle shells, but this time I actually traced my findings and then added the lines and added the little pops of color. So they were actually to scale for my beach finds, which was different and kind of fun. Shells are my go-to thing when I don't know what to draw. So there will be a lot of shells in here, just so you know. Next up, a proper just messy sketch page. I had gotten some new inks for my fountain pen over the Christmas period, and I was trying a new shade of ink, which I think I like. I'm not 100% sure yet. This is the Fountain Inks by Diamine, and this is Creton Cat. It's a neat shade. It was a bit more gray toned than I was originally looking for, but still fun and makes for fun little sketches from random things. Next up, I wanted to just try all the mediums in my sketchbook, and this was using strictly Neocolors, and I kind of hated how this came out, but looking at it now, I don't hate it as much. I was just trying to figure out learn the paper, figure out how things work, and Neocolors were still really new to me at this point because I had only just recently added them to my collection. So yeah, that was proper play. This page I did outside a coffee shop. I wasn't sure what to do. We were really busy with work and I just needed something to doodle, and I had been learning about kelp and seagrasses, so I just did this little kelp piece. I think I mainly did this with pencil. I did the background with a Neocolor. Again, this was like a really busy time with work. It was the fair winter market, so I was doing a lot of wholesale work, and I just kind of doodled because I knew I needed to be on my sketchbook. I needed a screen break, but I didn't really have anything like fun going on to like draw from. So I kind of just doodled what had happened that week. Next up, again, like I said, starting a sketchbook is weird. You never know what to do. And I just decided to go for oranges this particular day. I had started sketching down some ideas and then whatever. Forgot about those, who cared, and just went over it. I used acrylic markers and a little bit of neo colors on here. Again, still busy with work, still wanted to do something. So I kind of like drew a day. I was going out to ship orders. We made a few stops and I found a new chair for the office, found some things for Ellie, and kind of just played with another ink color. As you can see, this one is different. This one I really like. As you can see, I also tested it with some water. This one is the same brand, but a different color. It's called Aurora Borealis, and it is definitely my favorite. I just wish I could figure out how to get more in my fountain pen because I really do like it. It's fun. Again, I use it again. This was on the weekend. It had gotten a lot colder than we expected, and I was just really missing warmth and like spring, summer vibes. So we were watching the Lexus Pipe Challenger, and I just doodled random things from that and also added water to the fountain pen. Yeah, I just wanted to test it out with this new color. This one was inspired by one of those like random reels that you see on Instagram where it's like ways to fill your sketchbook page, because I needed to get out of my head. I needed something to do. I didn't know what to do. So I was like, this looks like a fun way to just play with acrylic markers. Same sort of thing, wasn't sure what to do. So this is very like reminiscent of Zentangle vibes. I used mild liners and I think a Le Pen pen, I think in Oriental Blue. Okay, now we're in like February time frame. It was the Super Bowl and it was Super Bowl weekend, and I felt like the internet was just super fun. There was so much information out there to learn about Puerto Rico. I started diving into like endangered species in the region, and I learned about the Puerto Rican parrot. As you can see here, I took some notes, doodled it, and added a Super Bowl quote, of course. Next up, I decided I wanted to work on some new ideas for stickers. I wanted to do some butterflies. And so we were sitting out at the coffee shop. I took some reference books and tried to draw some butterflies. And as you can see, make sure that's still in frame. It is so hard to do something symmetrically. Not to mention, like centered in the page. I was still really struggling with getting used to the shape of the pages of the sketchbook, but yeah, I eventually did create a good monarch and a good zebra longwing butterfly sticker. So I ended up scanning this, or like taking a picture of it and taking it to my iPad and working on it digitally in Procreate. And eventually I got the shape of the wings correctly and designed this monarch sticker. There's the monarch sticker that I did. Then I also did the zebra longwing because that is a state butterfly for Florida. And so it did work out. Early phases, final phases. So yeah, definitely much better in the final phase. But that's the cool thing about sketchbooking, is so many ideas start here, then I can take it into Procreate, do it much better, fine tune it, overthink it, and make it way too perfect. And yeah, but that's the human process, right? Yeah. Okay, next page. I don't remember what was going on this day. I think I was just sitting down feeling like I needed to draw, and I just grabbed a few neo colors and just doodled some shells, added some water, and that was that. Next up, we must be on February 22nd because I decided I was gonna join in on the 100-day sketchbook project. So basically creating art consistently for 100 days. I chose to do it in my sketchbook. Sometimes it was one page, sometimes it was two. And in this instance, I was just using leftover paint because these colors are not my colors, but I was inspired by the Royal Sea Star, as you can see here, which I have found on our local beaches. So I was just utilizing, like I said, leftover paint, created that. I don't hate it, don't love it. I used a white gel pen on top of here to get those details. And then this is acrylic paint. Yeah, that was leftover acrylic paint or acrylic gouache paint. And so was this. That was day 1. Day 2, I decided, to just continue playing. I decided to draw different types of palm trees because I feel like I'm really bad at palm trees and I want to get better at them. So I use a mix of neocolors and pencils. And as you can see the background, I use some water with the neos to like just get a sky background. I don't hate it, don't love it, but I feel like it was fun playing with like the different textures and learning how to layer pencils and neocolors because they don't always layer well. But yeah, that was a fun page. Day 2. And day 3, again, I think I was in a rush this day and I wasn't sure what to do, but I was like, this is day 3. I'm not giving up now. So I grabbed a neocolor, just did some little abstract, added some shells, a little piece of coral, and some fishies. And that was that. That was day 3. I counted both pages as day 3. Then day 4 was this fun page. I actually feel like there's potential here. That's the coolest thing about sketchbooks is I feel like you look back on it and then you see things like you could turn into something much bigger or turn into another project. So this was inspired by a page I had previously done in my sketchbook last year where I basically put a whole bunch of circles and then had to draw something in the shape of the circle. And this time I just did it with like the circles and then I told myself it needed to be a shell. And I used mild liners and a Faber-Castell artist pit pen, I think, which is not my favorite, but I do love how this page came out. This day I was feeling adventurous. Day 5, I decided to actually use paint in my sketchbook, which I had never really done besides using scraps. Like this was actually like intentionally done in here, not just using scraps. And I tried to paint a location at one of my favorite parks in the area. And I feel like it captured the tree pretty well. Like the colors definitely could be better and everything, but all in all, I see this, I see the location it was inspired by, so that makes me pretty happy. Next up, day 6, again, running out of time, running out of daylight because, you know, it's the beginning of the year. You don't have daylight that long. And I just used a fountain pen and some water and just doodled some random things that came to mind. Always shells in ocean life. Day 7. Okay, this one I actually like, and I can't tell you exactly what it was inspired by because sometimes on the weekends in the mornings when I drink my coffee, I like to turn on the Surfline cameras and they kind of just like go through different beaches, surf cams all over the world. And I remembered one where there were like a whole bunch of palm trees and you could see the ocean. I think there were rocks in the whatever in the side too. I think it might have been in El Salvador, not sure. But anyway, so from memory, I just made up and drew this little beachy scene, like a beachfront park, and that was kind of fun. This was pencils and neocolors. Okay, day 8. I remember distinctly like, wow, okay, we're on day 8 of the challenge and I already hate this page, but whatever, moving on. Day 9, I just was busy and just decided to doodle my day. I think I actually doodled it with this view. So I was at my favorite coffee shop and I just used my fountain pen and doodled little moments from the day. Days like this are sometimes days that you don't think you can doodle, but then when you really think back on it, you're like, oh wait, I had a really nice cup of tea. Oh, I had the cuddles with the pup. Like there are things you can document. Also, I got to pack 2 original paintings that day and ship them off, which was super exciting. Next up, I decided to pull out my rainbow pencils and I used this one, which is the, I don't know how you say those, magic pencil. I think this is the original variation. I also have the tropical variation and I used them to draw some shells, which this was like the start of my obsession with drawing this shell this year. And eventually I have painted it for a mini original piece that will be coming out soon. And then I also did a seashell and it's featured on a sticker as well. So yeah, lots of things for that one. The next day, I decided to pull out one of my new fish reference books, and this is a queen parrotfish. I doodled this one with my trusty Tombow Fudanowski, probably saying that wrong. I really liked that. That was fun and a lot more detailed than I had been doing recently, so that one kind of helped get me back in the right frame of mind, and that was day 11. Next up, day 12 of my challenge, and I just decided to play with lemons. I feel like I was on Substack paying attention to what other people were doing for the 100-day challenge, and everybody like had a moment where they were doing lemons, and I'm like, you know what, that sounds like fun, and who doesn't like a citrus moment? So played with that. Plus, I also designed recipe cards for my shop, and I was like, you know what, lemons would be really fun. I have oranges, so maybe I need to think about lemons. Next up, this wasn't a part of the 100-day challenge. This was just me brainstorming ideas for stickers for my shop. And fun fact, tidbit of information, is that all of these have indeed become something. So this one here was Save the Seas, Save the World, inspired by a quote from David Attenborough. And I did recently turn it into a sticker, Save the Seas, Save the World. It features different species than I was showing here, but I wanted to like show smaller species that not everybody would know or recognize, because sometimes when we think about the ocean and the state of the ocean, we think like the megafauna, we think sharks, we think whales, we think dolphins, sea turtles. So I wanted to go after some of the smaller species because they're just as important and super important actually to like the livelihood of all of the species, including humans on Earth. So yeah, that's what came of that one. And then earlier in the year, I had written down the quote, easily distracted by shells or seashells. And I was like, that would be such a fun sticker. And so I kind of like started brainstorming what I wanted to do for that. And that one also turned into a sticker, easily distracted by seashells. And the really fun thing about this one is that I feel like it's probably the most relatable sticker I've ever designed. And on top of that, it has now become one of my best sellers in my shop, which I think is really fun. And it is finally fully in stock and available for everyone. Okay, next page. Again, I was using a rainbow pencil. I told you I draw shells all the time. This one is also the same brand. This is the Magic Pencil, and this one is the tropical one. And it's so funny because I feel like it doesn't really match the painting on that, but I love it. It's fun. I feel like it's a great way to add color to your sketchbook without like intentionally adding coloring or like coloring anything in, because you have no control over it. Anyway, it's fun. Anyway, so this was just me playing with some ideas that I had. I was strictly using Neo colors and just like really laying it on thick. And from these ideas, I ended up designing these guys, which I really, really liked. And like I said, I started drawing the shell so often. And eventually these turned into greeting cards. And actually, this greeting card I just got to send off to the Bailey Matthews Seashell Museum in San Abel. So that's super cool. Next up, I wanted to go back drawing fish. This was a doctor fish that I drew from a reference in my Reef Creatures book, or actually I think it was my Reef Fish book. And then I just added random corals. Oops. This page is one of my favorites. I used a mixture of Neo colors, mild liners, and pencils, and I just drew from a like copyright-free photo off of Pexels. And I was just really wanting, you know, pretty water days where you could just go and watch the ocean. And so I was drawing what I wanted to see. Day 17, I did the same thing again from various copyright-free photos. Same color palettes, a little bit more pencil in these than Neo colors, but yeah, really love these. And also when the water looks like these, it's my favorite type of day. Then I decided to go in heavy with some leftover paint plus Neo colors and acrylic markers for the like seafoam. I don't love this page, and as you can tell, I didn't put anything in between them, so like the colors like went onto the other page, but whatever. I was playing, learning how the mediums went together, because apparently acrylic markers don't layer super well with Neo colors because it kind of activates the Neo color. Next up, I tried to do it with more so pencils, and then I used like a gel pen and a little bit of acrylic marker for some of the seafoam. Next up, this page is horrible, like in a funny, okay way, because I decided to go out to the beach for dinner and tried to sketch, but there was so much moisture in the air, like nothing was working. And then I was like, okay, I'll switch to my fountain pen, moisture in the air. That didn't work so well either. Next up, we had been enjoying spring and going to the state parks, and it's either rhododendrons or azalea season, either way. And this particular park, which is Washington Oaks State Park, was in full bloom. So I was just, you know, trying to channel like a Katie Moody vibe where I was layering on lots of different mediums. I was putting down my base layer as like a mild liner, then going over with pencil and neo colors and just trying to draw from the pictures that I took while I was at the park. I don't quite do plein air yet. But yeah, that's how these came out. It was a lot of fun, and trying to capture Spanish moss is very difficult and different, but a good challenge. Mixing my greens felt a little strange, but all in all, it was fun. The same day, we had also gone to the beach and we saw a By the Wind Sailor, aka Vela Vela, and I decided to draw one. I have drawn one before on my iPad, but I've never done anything with it because I was like, nobody's gonna know what that is. So, same kind of sentiment here. Like, nobody's really gonna know what this is, but they're really cool. They're hydrozones. They live on top of the ocean and just go where the wind takes them. And in this case, they had been washing up on the beach, and you kind of think they look like pieces of plastic. So you go to pick them up because you gotta pick up trash on the beach every time you go. But in this case, it was not. It was a great sea creature. And for the ones that looked like they were still alive, I tried to assist them back to the water. But yeah, so that made my day and possibly the month because I love when you can find something unique. And this was my first time seeing them in person, so extra cool. Next up, I used paint, leftover paint again, and in my sketchbook, and I don't love it, don't hate it, but that was fun. This was me documenting that weekend in sketch form. It's one of my favorite things to do is like to sketch a day or sketch a weekend with little notes. So that was that. Started my day with coffees, the beach, red flag day, our friend that we saw, the park where we went and ate dinner, some birds we saw. It was just all in all a really fun way to document the occasion. Next up, I was just trying to play. I wasn't sure what to do this day. I needed to play with different palm shapes, how to paint them, and then I had this issue where I mix a paint and then I don't remember exactly what I used to mix the color. Like, I have a particular color that I like to use for my sky, and I needed to take some notes. So I just took some notes. The page, I was going to paint on a panel and I was going to be painting some royal terns. So I wanted to practice. So that's what I did here. This was a mix of acrylic markers and some neo colors and pencils. Then we went out with the Matanzas Riverkeepers on their litter getter boat to go help clean up some of the little islands in the intercoastal. And these are my sketches from the day for the mangroves that had been, unfortunately, didn't make it through the freezes this winter, where we went and cleaned up with our little buckets and just like the views on the boat on the way back. Next up, I got my first order from the Bailey's Matthew National Shell Museum. So I felt like that was such a goal for me to get my products into there because it's such a place I respect for everything that they do, and I needed to document that in my sketchbook because I was like, this is so cool. Next up, we went to a little exhibit downtown that was highlighting the Free Wild Florida exhibit. It was done by UF and it was full of beautiful art featuring wild Florida from years past. So I documented that a little bit, shared a little information. And then afterwards, we took dinner to the beach, enjoyed that, and I found some shells. So I documented that because, of course, I can't do a spread without seashells, as you know. This time I tried to paint and neocolor in my sketchbook. I also did an underpainting in here because I had some leftover underpainting paint from some originals I was working on. And I actually really like that. I like that you can see the underpainting color, which I've never done that in my sketchbook before, but I feel like that I do like that spread. That was day 35. Next up, I was using leftover paint again. I have this thing where I just don't want to waste paint. I use acrylic gouache and I keep it in a Saw Wet, so it does last, but I just like to use the leftover paint for random things. So I pre-blobbinated the pages like Sophie McPike does, and then went over with the pencils and tried to make some sea urchins. Next up, I documented my week with little clips from each day. Throughout the week, I had to photograph originals, a lot of desk work, a lot of cutting, dinner at the beach, painting, and then, good trouble. Stopped at a plant place and took a picture from just randomly, and then later on decided to turn it into a sketch. And actually, I really like how the sketch came out. You can still see my blue lines because I kind of went and laid out the idea that I wanted to communicate in the illustration, but then I went in with just my Tombow because it's just my favorite. Then I just doodled what was on my desk, all my supplies. Next up, I just did little scenes, little beach scenes, mixing neocolors and pencils again. I feel like I'm still really learning how to use all this together. I think I had also picked up a new color that I wanted to test out. So that was day 39 and 40. Here, I wanted to test some supplies. My mom had some markers that I had been contemplating getting, so she let me test hers to see if I wanted to get them. And honestly, they came out a bit too vibrant for my liking, so it made a fun page, but wasn't for me. I remember this day distinctly. I had a really bad headache and I did not know what to draw, so I just went in with little shapes with a rainbow pencil, and it turns out that was really fun. And honestly, like, it's probably a really good, like, stress relief page sort of vibe thing to do. Next up was day 43 and 44, and I decided to pull out my Reef Creatures book and draw random things from that. And I did a Caribbean reef squid, a slimy brittle star, and a blue galcus. I'm not sure how you say that one, but yeah, that was fun. Next up, I started by drawing an alphabet cone, and it was not centered. I tried to put the words down here, not centered. So then I went over with acrylic marker and like made them like little spot illustrations. So it's a mixture of pencils and acrylic marker and Neocolor to get the neat effect on the pen shell. Nothing was really going on, so I was revisiting my camera roll and doodling times from the adventures that we had with Matanzas River Keepers. Doodled a bit more of my day in color, which I don't usually do. 48 and 49, same sort of thing. I wasn't sure. I think I was really busy with work, a lot of admin stuff and packing orders. So I just like sketched with pencil and then added in some neo colors afterwards. And this time I took like my aqua brush and put it on the neo color and then brought it to the page. So it's a slightly different effect. A lot was going on in the world, and this felt pertinent to draw. This is like inspired by the Surfrider sign that they have for the Drilling is Killing initiative, I guess you could say. Basically, always fighting to protect our oceans and to stop drilling offshore of the coast of Florida and the whole West Coast. So yeah, and then I put my little playlist that we had for that particular day. I was in a real, like, I don't know what to draw phase, and I saw this fun video where they were drawing a disco ball. I think I was also listening to Harry Styles' new album possibly at this time, so it made sense. And I tried a disco ball with colors I don't normally play with. These are all acrylic markers. Again, I was like planning for a painting, practicing little birds, and these are not good at all, but you know what? It was fun. Same sort of thing. This was like a mixture of neo colors and acrylic markers. At 54 and 55, I drew things that I saw on the beach. So a ring-billed gull and a cabbage head jelly. I was using my fountain pen here. I really did not know what to draw this day. See, this does happen often. So I just drew something I had been enjoying. So Roma Bakery, who has a book called Sweet Tooth, put a new recipe out called Banana Bread Blondies, and they were amazing. So I decided to doodle down the recipe because it sounded like a fun idea at the moment. And this was Earth Day time frame, so day 57 and 58. I think it was actually the weekend before Earth Day that there was like an Earth Day beach cleanup, so we attended that, and I kind of just drew the day because, of course, I also did work alongside of it. So cleaning up the beach, taking product photos, shipping orders, all those normal things. Again, Earth Day vibes, planet ocean, because when you go into your maps and like swirl around the globe, one whole side just looks like it's full of ocean. Obviously, you've got Hawaii and Samoa and lots of different islands mingled in, but it really just looks like ocean. And the truth is that a lot of the globe is made up of water, and we need to protect this water because we can't have life on Earth without it. And as you can see here, there is no planet B. So, yes. Also, fun fact, Earth Day was actually created because of a protest. So that just goes to show that like protests do make a difference. I decided to grab some neo colors that I never use and colors that I never use, and I just doodled some random fishy friends that are not real fish, just proper doodles, which was honestly really hard for me to do because I always like to be like accurate, but this day I bought myself a set of Tombow markers because I just wanted to add some more warm tones to my sketchbook. As you could see, a lot of cool tones are used because that is my favorite. So I was just playing with them, getting to know them, layering like neo colors on here and pencils on, seeing how they layered, and then playing here. The color was indeed more vibrant, and I'm sorry, the lighting just went really blue. Next up, I decided to use some pencils on this page, and I did a beach entrance that I really enjoy. I used some gel pen for the sea foam, and then I did like a sunset version, which is something I definitely don't feel comfortable doing and I don't often do, but there's that. Next page, I really dislike these. I had an idea, started the idea, it didn't turn out, so I kind of just abandoned it because, you know, it is a sketchbook. It is okay to have an idea that doesn't work out and just move on. Then the next day, came across a page I really enjoyed. Again, I was still painting little birds on an original piece, so I was still like practicing. And I really like how these guys came out. And then I did like miniature versions in the same colors that I was doing my paintings in. And I really like this. It's a mixture of paint and pencil. Actually, I think this spread might be one of my favorites in the sketchbook at the moment. The day of playing with colors I don't normally play with because the Tombos came with like a purpley color. I decided to play with that. I just laid it down and then added details on the top to create some shells. And then over here, I played with Neo colors. This was, I want to say, early May, and I just, again, I think I was really busy, didn't know what to do, ran out of time a few days, and 72 and 73 were just cute little like repeat patterns using the Tombow markers. Then again, this is still, in my opinion, every day is Earth Day, but this was actually, I think, David Attenborough's birthday time frame, and I wanted to write down and commemorate some of my favorite quotes of his, which you can see like inspired the quote sticker. Yeah, this one is, I'm going to share this soon as a graphic on Instagram and probably Substack. It's no one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they have never experienced, which I feel like just, it goes beyond experience. It's just like informed about. So yeah. Next up, Mother's Day time frame. It was a busy weekend, but I just like, you know what if we made a bouquet of flowers, but they weren't flowers and they were like seashells. So calico coquina flowers. So I use like a little calico and then coquina shells. I don't know. Maybe that'll turn into something one day. Maybe it won't. Then I just made a list of the menu that I created for Mother's Day. This page was fun. It was slightly inspired by the Save the Seas, Save the World sign that I did, but I used some mild liners and Tombows to put down colors. Then I took my acrylic pen and put down the white, and then I inked on top with my Le Pen Flex pen, I believe. And I did add a little acrylic marker as well on the top after the fact because the white kind of like disappeared. That was a fun page. Then 81, I was getting close to the end of the sketchbook, and apparently when you get close to the end of a sketchbook, it gets a lot harder to use because, I don't know, just, okay, we're back. Sorry if the lighting has changed. There was a barking intermission and things got away, but we are back, and we're on day 81 and 82. This day, I decided to just get adventurous. I wanted to play with my acrylic markers, and I used them to create a hibiscus, and I was literally, like, getting messy with the markers, letting the colors overlap while they were wet, which is usually just like goes against all my little internal rules, and like mixing it with my fingers. But you know what? It came out not that bad. Day 83 and 84, I did these fun little like beach frames. I loved doing frames in my last sketchbook, but I hadn't really done them in color. So I did them in color using pencils and acrylic markers. And I did this one day and then added on that one the next day. Tried to keep the same vibes. That was fun. Next up is this guy. Let me turn you around. Full on ocean sketch. What did I use here? I think I used some mild liners in the sky to get like a base. Then I used some in like a Tombow down here, layered with some Neo colors and acrylic markers. It's not my favorite piece. The lighting is definitely changed. But that was fun. I used the Artist Pit pen to put a little border around, and that came out fun. It was inspired by a picture that I had taken, I believe either that day or the day before, to the beach. It was supposed to be like a really good negative low tide, so we were there basically cleaning up trash out of the sargassum, but got this fun little picture out of it. Then day 86 and 87, I decided I really didn't know what to draw, so I had been outside watering plants and I drew a caladium. Then I decided to draw some things that were in my mom's garden from lots of different flowers, of all like good things for pollinators. And then this day was the last page of my sketchbook, and honestly, I hate it so much, but it was day 88, 89. I decided to use the Artist Pit pen, which I shouldn't have because I already know that I don't care for it. And also, it takes forever to dry, apparently, because I smeared it right away. So after I smeared it, I was like disgruntled. So I just doodle random things, and then I needed to make an exit. And that was that. The last page was just like me swatching random things. And I went through and wrote down exactly how many shells I drew in this book. And the total was 175. The last sketchbook was like 200 something. So that is a full look into my sketchbook. This one was like really fast for me, really full. I used a lot more color than usual, and I kind of love how it came out. At the beginning, I really wasn't sure about this shape and size because, like I said, I'm used to this one, which is the same brand. It is the Talon's Art Creations. After finishing this one, I still don't love this size. I like the fact that it's pretty much like the same size as my phone, so it's easy to grab and it fits in my purse really nicely. And I like that part of it. But as for the page shapes, it's just not my favorite. It's kind of hard to center in, whereas this one I was definitely more used to and enjoyed this size and shape better, which is why I have now moved on to another one, this shape. As you can see, I didn't reach the end of the 100-day challenge in this one, so that one is still going on in a new sketchbook, and I'm using, I don't know where it is, so I can't grab it, but I'm also using a cork version, which the cork version has bright white pages, which feels different. That was one of the biggest things with going into one of these sketchbooks is the yellow pages are not necessarily my vibe, and I feel like on camera they're actually not coming through too yellowy. But when you put it next to a white page, here, I grab it. When you put it next to the white page, it's a major difference. So my next sketchbook is this one. Like I said, I've already moved into it because I'm doing 100 days, and I am excited to show this one soon, but it is different. I don't know. We'll see how I find out that I like the yellowy better or the white better and what I'll do, but I do already have another one of these ready to go after this. So I will be going back to yellow at some point. But yeah, there was a sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, I finished this other one before. This was last year's sketchbook. This was the whole year. So I should film a tour for this one as well if you're interested and if you liked this one. It is a different vibe to an extent. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we can have more like sketchbook art related content over here. So I'll see you next time. Bye.